half in the NFL, a Super Bowl and a Pro Bowl. Trent Dilfer is joining me, our friend. Let's go back to last night's big game. Kirk Cousins in a primetime spot played pretty well. Aaron did not. 1-9 in his last 10 on the road. Listen, he's got a running game. They're third in the NFL in sacks. He continues to struggle. What are your eyes telling you about McCarthy, Rogers, and the Packers?
There's definitely a disconnect, Colin. I've studied this offense for years. The Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers, his relationship with Mike McCarthy. They've always had a very simpatico relationship between quarterback and play caller. I usually can tell that by the presence of the quarterback when he's happy with the call, when he's unhappy with the call. Aaron forever has matched his feet to his eyes. We call it tying your feet to your eyes, where your eyes and your feet are almost married together, and they're always looking at the right place at the right time. This year, it looks disjointed. I think the biggest thing I've seen is that they've tried to incorporate some new concepts. They've tried to incorporate some more cluster formations, some motions, some stuff that's not typical of them to work the middle of the football field. And Aaron hasn't been comfortable with it. His eyes immediately abandon it, go out to the perimeter, try to get the big play right away instead of death by 1,000 cuts approach by working the middle of the field. When they were really good offensively, it was a very simple formula. They were balanced for one, and number two, in their passing game, they attacked you slowly. They would methodically march the ball at the passing game, and then when you made a mistake, when you got too aggressive, that's when they would strike you down the field. It looks like Aaron is trying to get the easy way out on play and try to attack downfield when there is stuff in front of them open.
Yeah, I want to talk about New England. They averaged 28 a game this year. They averaged 28 a game last year. In the last 6 years, they averaged 28 a game. They don't turn it over. No penalties. Tom's protected. Yesterday it was running and a Gronk touchdown. That looked like the last 8 years, but they're not as dynamic as the rest of the top teams in the league. I watched them yesterday, and I'm like, it's the same Patriots, but is the league elevated above them? What do you make of it?
No, I think they remake themselves every year, every game. I think that their genius is that they build a system around what best suits their personnel. And this personnel with Trent Brown at left tackle and a bunch of running backs, a big tight end that can block inline. See, people always forget that when Gronk is healthy, he's the most dominant tight end blocker in the league, not just a great pass receiver. They're physical. They want to play a different style of football this year. They've remade themselves. They don't care about what the stats say. They don't care about quote unquote innovation. They care about winning. And they felt that this year's formula, you can see it early on, that they were going to run the ball downhill with Sony Michel on the bigger, more physical offensive line. They're going to play action pass more often. They were going to do less of their spread looks. Now, there may come a time this year when spreading teams out and throwing the ball 5 yards and running off the catch and doing that 45 times a game is the best way to win a game. But right now, they're staying very true to who they wanted to be to start the season. It's an effective model. It also helps their defense. I think it's one they know is sustainable. And obviously, Tom Brady is getting older. He's still brilliant, but he is older. And I don't know if you want to drop him back 45 times a game like you will at Patrick Mahomes. I just think it's more prudent to play a more balanced style of football, and they're doing it very well.
Steelers dropped Big Ben back 56 times. How did that sit with you?
Foolish. I just think it's foolish. And I know people can say that, wow, what a sign of respect for Ben. And I get that. But their formula, when they're really good, has always been a 60-40 pass run. Ben's brilliant. He absolutely brilliant. And he can carry that kind of water. He can throw it 56 times. But you're going to be better as a team when you're balanced. They have a very good offensive line. They have a very good runner in Connor. They can do a lot of things without trying to throw it 56 times around the yard. I think they would have scored more points if they could have got Denver out of that double-double coverage and got them more to single high plays. Yes, they got some big plays to Juju, but they're better when they can strike you vertically with Antonio Brown, when they can run the ball, pound the inside of the defense, set up play action, and Juju's an auxiliary player. Denver dared them to throw the ball, the tight end of the backs, dared them to run it, and they didn't do it. Therefore, they didn't score that many points offensively.
What do you make on Baker Mayfield? I'd rather my quarterbacks be fire extinguishers, not a can of gasoline. Talking after the game about Hugh. What do you make of that?
I want my quarterbacks to be who they are, Colin. and I think this is the biggest lesson I learned in all my years in the NFL, is that too often coaches, media people, whoever, want somebody to be something they're not. And when you start stealing that from their DNA, they become less of who they are. What if we try to make Phillip Rivers less ornery? What if we try to take Tom Brady and not let him have, I don't want to say temper tantrums, but show his anger on the sideline? What if early on Bill Belichick said, Tom Brady, you can't kick water coolers. You can't throw your helmet. You can't drop F-bombs, because that's not what quarterbacks do. Maybe Tom Brady doesn't get his stuff out of his system between series as well as he does now. I think Baker Mayfield's a mature kid for 22 years old, or however old he is. He also is a little edgy. He's a little ornery. He likes the chip on his shoulder mentality. He likes the bunker mentality. And that's okay, because it's who he is, and it's working for him. He will grow. He'll mature in life like we all do. He'll pour less gasoline on situations as he gets older. But the thing that drives me more crazy than anything in the NFL is when I see kids that have something special in their DNA and coaches and media try to get it out of them because it doesn't fit their paradigm on what they should look like. What's gotten them to this point, all of these guys, pick anyone out of a hat, is that they have something inside of them that most people don't. And you got to let that stuff come out, because it's part of what makes them really good at what they do.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm boring, so I like boring guys. Finally.
Yeah, I was going to call you out on that. I mean, I'm a get off my lawn guy too, like you are at times.
Yeah.
I just learned to appreciate that we're all not the same, and we're not robots. And when you start trying to turn quarterbacks into robots, you get a lesser version of who that quarterback is.
Only got about a minute and a half left. My MVP is Breeze. Andrew Luck's honorable mention. Who am I leaving out?
Phillip Rivers. And I agree with you on the first two. I saw your segment earlier on the who cares as your third. I think you should care about Phillip Rivers. I like your first two, not arguing with you, but Phillip Rivers deserves to be in this conversation. He is playing brilliant football. They're one of the better teams in the NFL. I think they are a real contender. He has changed his mentality to fit this football team. And he's always been one of those special guys in terms of competitive temperament. He gets the most out of everybody. He drags them along. He carries the water. He'll do whatever you need him to do to win. He's a win or die kind of guy. And that's what I want at my quarterback, and he deserves to be the third guy in the discussion.
Yeah, he's got some old school with him. Big, tough, play. Yeah. He looks like a 1988 quarterback. Tough, trash talk a little bit, play hurt, big arm, super aggressive. Trent's great talking to you, my man. Love seeing you on our show.
10 seconds, Colin. All the quarterbacks, Brady, Breeze, Rogers, all of them I've talked about. Who's the guy that I respect as much as anybody? Phillip Rivers.
That's cool. It's nice to see him win. I wish he didn't play in a soccer stadium, but it's not.
Great to see you, buddy.
Okay, good seeing you. You know, Trent makes a good point. You know, my favorite quarterbacks are Brady, Breeze, Luck, and Russell, and I call them the Bore Four. And that Trent's saying basically, hey, you're trying to make them, you're boring, so you like boring. And I married an artist. My wife's more of a designer artist, so I do have some of that that does appeal to me. You know, I'm going to think about that. Maybe I have to put my arms around Baker Mayfield and hug him a little more. Have I been a little rough on him maybe? Because I'm boring, and the guys I love are mostly boring. Aaron drives me crazy. Cam drives me nuts. Baker drives me nuts. Manziel drove me crazy. Tap, social media, fashion. The stuff doesn't work for me.
It's like a psychological deep dive you're trying to do.
First of all, my head exploded driving to work yesterday. My nose, it blew up in my car. I got blood all over my car. It's like a crime scene.
Is it still there?
No, I mean, yeah. I mean, if a detective came and looked at my car, it would be there. I can't see it. I mostly cleaned it up and put the body in the trunk. The point being is it was rare drama in my life because I'm not dramatic. I am so proud of my Bore 4. They went 4 for 4 this weekend. Maybe I should have told Dilfer. Maybe Baker's job is to be more like I want. No, that doesn't make sense. All right. Rod Woodson, we got a great last hour coming up. It's Cold and flu season, try Vicks Sinex nasal spray. When congestion strikes, it works up to 12 hours. Vicks Sinex nasal spray. It beats the alternative, which is my nose exploding driving to work.